Hello and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a bit different from the week in my life videos I usually do. We're heading to the east coast of Korea. I'll be sharing some nice moments, tons of restaurants and cafes, and a bit of riding along the way. I've been seeing more and more of you joining in on these adventures lately. Thank you so much. So, today is Saturday and we've decided on a trip to Sokcho and Gangneung for my upcoming birthday. Starting off with the road trip to Sokcho, this time with Mina in tow. Lots of stuff to pack, plus the bike to load onto the car. Traveling by car in Korea isn't always the best idea. A lot of Seoulites have the same idea when the weather gets nicer, so the roads get packed. A 2-hour trip can easily turn into 4. Luggage loaded, bike ready, the quick refuel, and here we are, ready to take on the road. Sokcho is a coastal city on the east coast of South Korea, right by the East Sea, famous for its beaches, fresh seafood, and of course, its national park. It's around 200 kilometers from my home. You'd think that's a 2-hour drive, but it rarely works out that way, unless you leave Seoul at 5 a.m. When I checked the map that morning, it showed a 3-hour trip, but it turned into 4. Lucky I packed some snacks. But you've never really done a Korean road trip without stopping at one of their rest stops. It's honestly a whole experience on their own. Korea has over 200 of them along its highways, each with its own local specialties. You'll find everything from spicy rice cakes and grilled skewers to walnut cakes, fried chicken sticks, and even regional dishes made with local ingredients. It's less of a gas station snack vibe and more like a mini food court you actually look forward to stopping at. I wasn't really planning to eat just yet, but I figured it'd be smarter to feed the kid before she got hangry. The menu here is pretty rich, everything from Korean dishes to Western-style plates. I went with a tonkatsu and a bowl of rice to share with Mina. Once you get your ticket, you head to the designated counter to pick up your food. Each counter is dedicated to a specific type of dish with its own kitchen behind it. The tonkatsu was absolutely massive. Not the best I've ever had, but good enough to fuel up for the last 2 hours of driving. I really enjoyed this little moment with my daughter, even though she was completely obsessed with the World Cup playing on the TV. After the quick lunch, we headed out for a little walk around the rest area. And as you can see, the Korean countryside is just marvelous. Incredible scenery right behind the restaurant. Not really sure why there's a giant colorful cow here though. Iced Americano for the road, and we were ready to finish off this 4-hour trip. Mina was getting excited to see the sea. And here we are, near our final destination of the day. Honestly, this road trip felt endless, but the scenery made it worth it. Funny enough, the road was packed the whole way, but once we got to Sokcho, it felt like a ghost town. When we got to the hotel, I realized the parking entrance was too low to fit through with the bike on the roof, so I just parked out front while I handled the check-in. I really need to get a rear rack for the car to carry the bike. It would honestly make my life so much easier. A quick check-in, and we hopped on the bike with Mina. The weather was literally perfect that day. First stop, of course, was a coffee shop I really wanted to visit, COEO. This cafe used to be in Seoul, but recently made the move to Sokcho, still roasting their own beans and doing their thing here. I actually went a few times back when they were in Seoul, and the coffee was always solid. They're still active in the coffee event scene too, so this was a must stop while I was in Sokcho. I had a bit of a hard time getting my bearings riding in this new city. The cycling infrastructure wasn't as good as I expected, but I eventually made it there. I was really amazed by the new location. A traditional Korean home that's been beautifully renovated. You can tell they put a lot of work into making it look this good. The interior is super warm and full of little details. The roastery in the back and the coffee bar right by the window must be a pretty nice environment to work in. They had 8 beans to choose from. I went with the natural Ethiopia and the owner kindly gifted me a geisha before I left. I also picked up some beans to bring along for my upcoming trip to France. If you're in Sokcho, this is a must-stop for anyone looking for specialty coffee. I think there's maybe only 1 or 2 other places offering that kind of experience around here. After this nice moment, I wanted to check out another cafe by the lake, set up in what used to be a boathouse. I once again took the wrong turn on my way to the cafe, but ended up on this beautiful quay along Sokcho Lake. This city feels really peaceful. I honestly recommend visiting if you can. The best plan is to spend one day exploring the national park and the next day exploring the city itself. I've climbed Ulsanbawi a few times myself and I really enjoyed it. It's honestly so nice to discover a new city by bike. Definitely something I want to do more often. It takes a lot more prep with a kid along, but the whole experience is worth it. I really want Mina to grow up with that kind of childhood. The cafe we're checking out is called Chilsung Boatyard. It used to be a working shipyard from 1952 all the way to 2017, before it reopened as a cafe in 2018. They kept a lot of the original boatyard details throughout the space. I didn't realize it, but they also run their own roastery here. There's a big coffee bar on the ground floor, and then you head upstairs to actually enjoy your drink. The space is massive, with plenty of seating. I don't think you'll get the best coffee here, but the view is amazing. There's actually a small museum tucked in the back too. I believe it shows old records, boat parts, and tools that were actually used here. It's nice that they try to preserve the identity and history of the place instead of just turning it into a generic cafe. Next up on the list, a visit to Sokcho's fish market. I'm not really a seafood guy myself, but I figured Mina would enjoy checking the place out. Sokcho has this interesting geography. Right in the middle of the city sits Chongcho Lake, a natural lake that connects to the East Sea. It's actually a kind of transition point between the fresh water coming down from the mountains and the ocean itself, which is part of what makes the city feel so unique. Everything is pretty accessible and close by too. You really don't need a car to get around. Right by the market sits Dongmyeong Port, one of the working harbors that's kept Sokcho's fishing industry going for decades. You can watch fishing boats come in with the day's catch, and there are tanks full of live seafood right along the port where locals come to buy directly. Right after that, I passed by this small dock where a little boat takes you across to a Bai village. The Sokcho Tourist and Fishery Market, as it's called, has been around since 1953. It's basically the heart of the local fishing trade, fresh catch coming straight from the coastal waters here, known for squid, pollock, flounder and mackerel. It's also where you'll find live seafood tanks, dried fish stalls and vendors bargaining with locals every day. Not just a tourist spot, but a real working market for the fishing community. We had a really nice time wandering around and checking out the different restaurants in the underground market, where all the seafood spots are packed in side by side. Tanks full of live fish, crabs and squid everywhere, vendors calling out to get you to stop by their stall. It's loud, it's chaotic in the best way. The market is gigantic, rows and rows of stalls stretching in every direction. I actually had a hard time finding my way back to where I'd parked the bikes. Kind of got lost in the maze of it all. After that, we crossed the big bridge that leads out toward the beach. It actually offers a really nice view over the whole city. Mina was craving an ice cream. This is her holiday too after all, so I gave in and we rushed off toward the ocean. On the way, I passed through this great neighborhood full of individual homes. Must be really nice to live here for a while. And what's better than stopping by the GS25 to grab what we needed, than enjoying their little terrace with a sea view. Mina got a strawberry ice cream. She couldn't believe it. Fueled up with that little sweet treat, we finally arrived at Sokcho Beach. It's honestly a beautiful one, really wide, plenty of facilities and lined with pine trees along the edge. As you've probably noticed since the start of this video, my wife wasn't with us today because she had work back in Seoul, but she's joining us by bus later, so we spent a quick moment at the beach before heading over to the bus terminal to pick her up. The intercity bus network here is pretty impressive. It really took off in the 1980s alongside Korea's highway expansion, and now pretty much every town, big or small, is connected by regional buses. Time to drop Yumi's luggage at the hotel, and then we rushed out to grab dinner. I was feeling pretty wiped out after the day. The restaurant is called Namgyeong Makguksu, a place specializing in buckwheat noodles, with dishes like gondre makguksu, perilla seed makguksu, and black sesame noodles. It's seaside too, with a great view over the small port. It was excellent, exactly the kind of local spot I was hoping Yezung would point us to. I later found out it's actually a franchise you can find in Seoul too. Still, a must visit for me, it was so good, especially the perilla noodles. Unlike me, my wife loves seafood, so naturally she wanted to grab some local specialties. Luckily, that's the one thing there's no shortage of near the restaurant. An incredible number of little stalls selling all kinds of fried seafood. It was tough to choose from all that selection. Turns out Yunmi had already pinned the stall she wanted before we even got there. She's always one step ahead. It was pretty disappointing from what I understood. And that wrapped up the day. We enjoyed a walk along the seacoast back to our hotel. Immaculate vibes with the sunset. The next morning, we tried our luck to grab Sokcho's famous rice cakes, but people were already lining up since 7 AM. Definitely not for us that day. But if you want to give it a try, I'll drop the link in the description. My wife told me it's pretty exceptional. Anyway, I wanted to have a decent birthday breakfast, so I went to a place I really enjoyed with my mother, Bossa Nova Coffee Roasters. It's a huge cafe right facing Sokcho Beach. The coffee itself isn't amazing, but the pastries and the view make it an elite pick in Sokcho. Big plus, they've got parking right in the back. The bakery section is huge with a ton of variety. Their apple pastry is amazing and really cheap too. The cafe spans 4 floors. Unfortunately, there's no elevator, so you better be ready to go up and down to grab your drinks. This place can easily replace a bad hotel breakfast. That's exactly why I chose it. So if you're in Sokcho, just grab breakfast here and enjoy a swim right after, which worked out perfectly. That was our plan for the morning. The beach was empty. We rented a parasol from the city and just spent a lovely moment there. After a quick shower, we headed out to a very unique restaurant in the countryside. I love driving through those fields. Korea is incredibly scenic. The restaurant is called Nogak, a grilled fish spot in the countryside, cooking everything over an open wood fire. We went with the salmon set, along with the soybean paste stew to share. The whole place has this rustic traditional feel. Wooden beams, an open hearth right in the dining area. Everything comes out on these beautiful black trays. The grilled fish itself, a bowl of rice, soybean paste stew, and a handful of little side dishes. It's a must-go spot in Sokcho, though I think it's only accessible by car. Fair warning, it's one of the slowest services I've ever experienced in Korea. We waited almost 45 minutes to get our food. Not the easiest with a kid. A little snapshot as a souvenir, and then we hit the road to Gangneung. My wife got us a night in a really nice hotel as a birthday gift. I'm super grateful to spend a bit of time in a place like this. Check-in was super convenient and fast. We rushed straight to the pool to catch the last bit of sun. Gangneung is actually the largest city and the main hub of the Gangwon region, sitting right along the East Sea. Most of the population lives along the coast, and the city's whole identity is shaped by this mix of sea and mountains, with the Taebaek Range right behind it. Unlike Sokcho though, you can actually get here by train. It takes about 2 hours straight from Seoul Station. And honestly, it's just gorgeous. Since it's my birthday, we decided to do a beef barbecue, paired with some natural wine. So first, we stopped by a bottle shop called Meent. It's tucked away on a quiet street in Gangneung. I found the whole neighborhood super charming, with little cafes and shops scattered around. The place itself is actually pretty big, and it used to operate as a bistro too. I noticed a huge kitchen in the back, along with a lot of interesting grocery products on the shelves. I never would have imagined finding a place like this out in the countryside. It almost felt like being back in Paris. Such a beautiful space. The natural wine selection was honestly one of the biggest I've seen in Korea. The owner clearly has great taste. She was really welcoming too and gave us some great advice on what to pick. I ended up picking this Beaujolais for the night. I love this domain, couldn't pass it up. The owner kindly invited us to have a drink there for a little apéro. Honestly, I could have spent the whole evening in that place. We had a glass of Yunmi's pick, which was super light, subtle, and really enjoyable, while chatting away, and Mina sat there reading a book. Ending this special day with a beef barbecue. Beef culture here is unique. Hanwoo Korean beef is one of the most expensive meats in the world, historically reserved for special occasions. We went with a beef assortment of different cuts. Good, but not mind-blowing, though the pairing with the red wine was on point. It was such a perfect day. Thank you Yunmi and Mina for making this birthday so special. The stay at the hotel was really memorable. One last splash in the pool and it was already time to head back to Seoul. But first, coffee. A friend of mine recommended a cafe called After Image, so I figured I'd give it a try. It's also a roastery, and I had a nice chat with the owner, who kindly walked me through his workflow. He's really got a nice setup going. I'm always impressed by the level of equipment Korean cafes have. The filter menu was pretty extensive. He recommended a Kenyan coffee. Surprisingly, he didn't brew it with a scale, telling me that's just part of his workflow. Since the condition of the beans changes every day, he pays more attention to the flow of the water instead. Pretty interesting approach. It was one of those Kenyan coffees that tastes like tomato. Not really my favorite flavor profile, but it was a really nice brew. After checking out the tea shop next to the cafe, we hit the road to our next stop. Quite a packed schedule ahead. You've probably heard of it, Terarosa. It actually started out in Gangneung back in 2002 as a roasting facility, supplying cafes and hotels, before opening up its own cafes as more people wanted to try the coffee directly. It's now one of the names that really put Gangneung on the map as Korea's coffee capital. But we didn't come here by chance. Yunmi actually worked with Alain Ducasse's French team, and this year Terarosa partnered with Alain Ducasse Chocolat Paris to open a chocolate factory right next to their roastery here in Gangneung. So we really wanted to swing by and check it out. The place is really beautiful, a perfect mix of Ducasse's vision and Terarosa's style. We picked up some chocolate as gifts and grabbed an ice cream too. Good occasion to check out the huge space Terarosa has here, including a really beautiful outdoor area. The interior is massive with multiple coffee bars scattered around. I can't even imagine what it's like on weekends. It was a Monday and it was already packed. It's really become an institution in Korea. If you're visiting, there's a good chance you'll get to experience Terarosa somewhere on your trip. One of the many stops before heading back to Seoul, visiting a sheep farm up in the mountains so Mina could have some fun activities of her own too. Like every small attraction in Korea, you'll find a bunch of little shops selling snacks and small trinkets, and this place doesn't break that tradition. They call this little mountain range the Korean Alps, and it's kind of true to some extent really picturesque up here. Funny enough, there's actually a payment terminal just to feed the sheep. Ending this road trip with a traditional Korean restaurant in the countryside near Wonju, Yunmi always has some hidden spots up her sleeve. On the way up there, I came across this amazing view and couldn't resist stopping. I later found out this was Sogumsan, near Wonju, home to Korea's longest pedestrian suspension bridge, hanging about 100 meters above the valley. The humidity was out of control in this area. The restaurant is called Geumulgwa Fish, a rustic countryside spot. Their specialty is this huge spread of side dishes made with Korean herbs that are actually pretty hard to find elsewhere. And that wraps up this trip to Sokcho and Gangneung, a birthday I'll definitely remember. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this one, feel free to like and subscribe.